Hello everyone, welcome, and thank you for joining me here today for the Canton Fair 2020, live on tape from the Jimmy North America home office here in beautiful downtown Denver, Colorado. I appreciate the chance today to introduce myself. My name is Derek Mell. Also to introduce Jimmy, for those out there who may not be too familiar with the company, as well as, most excitingly, to highlight and introduce our newest LTE Cat-M NB-IoT device offerings specifically for the North American market. So without further ado, let's get started here. As I said, as some of the people, especially maybe some of our newer North American friends out there, may not be too familiar with Jimmy, let me take just a minute and introduce the company here. By the way, my name is Derek Mell. I'll be standing mostly off screen here, but I'll come back out and show you these devices in just a second as well. So the brand Jimmy started in 2014, but the roots go all the way back to Concox, which started as a telematics manufacturer in 2007. But even before then, the company was making cell phones and other digital equipment all the way back to the year 2000. In the year 2014, Jimmy decided to make a push to become a full spectrum, full solution IoT solutions provider. And they launched TrackSolid, which is the cloud service and an online tracking platform. Expansion continued again in 2015 when they started their dashcam business, which focuses on DVR dashcam tracking devices. Then again, it expanded in 2018 with the Intelligent Security Devices Bureau, or public security line of business. This line makes devices for law enforcement, such as body cameras, ankle bracelets, and smart security cameras. Of course, we still have some very treasured partners that we've been working with for many years, providing PCBA and module OEM, and we continue to do that business as well. Currently, Jimmy has 1,600 plus employees, 20 years of industry experience. It has about 22,000 meters squared of factory floorage in mainland China, 600 plus engineers, and more than 260 patents have been awarded to the company. So that's where Jimmy came from, but part of what we're here to talk about today is where Jimmy is going. And so I'm very excited to be announcing these two devices today that represent a strong push for us into the North American IoT market. So again, without further ado, let's get into our two new devices. But before I do that, let me say one quick word about the global pandemic that we've all been going through and how this industry can help moving forward. Obviously, everyone watching out there has been affected in some way by COVID-19 and this global pandemic we've been going through, whether it's through direct health effects on you and your family, or the outside effects that we've all suffered related to business. Nobody has escaped the pain recently. There's been canceled contracts, unfulfilled obligations, there's been widespread layoffs, reorganizations, all sorts of other stressful labor issues. In general, recently and continuing, the outlook for the future seems to be very uncertain. So as the world restarts and reopens, organizations of all types will be focused on doing more with less. There's going to be an increased focus on supply chain, logistics streamlining, reducing redundant labor. Obviously, the push towards automation will continue unabated into the near future at least. In essence, organizations around the world are going to be trying to squeeze efficiency and productivity gains out of every asset of their operations. Jimmy IoT is very excited to be part of this recovery. And here, let's get into our two devices. These here that you're looking at are the two new LTE solutions to empower our North American partners. First on the left is the JM-LL01, which, as I said, is a Cat-M1 NB-IoT, and this is the battery-powered asset tracking solution. On the right side, we've got the JM-VL02. This is also Cat-M NB-IoT, but this is the hardwired vehicle telematics solution. So first, let's get into the JMLL01. Now I don't know, you can't see too much on here, but I have one of these devices here. Let me take a quick second. So here is the JMLL01. The overall size is about the size of two decks of cards in your hand. Magnetic cover, very strong magnetic cover, comes right off the back. And under there, that's where you will see, as indicated here as well, there is a light sensor here, which can help with the removal alerts. If this device is removed, this senses light and it will send an alert via SMS or the platform letting you know that the device has been detached. So JMLL01 has been a very popular device. This is essentially a reiteration of a device that has been very popular around the world for Jimmy in the past years, and it's just been upgraded and optimized for the North American networks. This is our long-term asset tracking workhorse. It's got a 10,000 mAh battery, which in certain modes can last up to 3 years on a single charge. As I showed you there, it's got a magnetic cover, which makes installation completely effortless if you've got any sort of metal surface to attach the device to. If you don't, of course, we've also got these eyelets right there on the side, as you can see, that you could put a zip tie or something similar through if you needed added security or you're not working on a metal surface. It's got an IP65 weatherproof rating, so this device can be placed in all sorts of rugged locations and have no problem standing up to your sprays of water here and there and those sort of elements. On the top, I also showed you there's a micro USB connection, which is used for charging and also to do some device configuration if need be. And this device, you can send commands, configuration commands, via SMS or the platform. Of course, SMS requires a SIM card that can handle SMS. Let's look at some use cases for the LL01. Because it has a large battery and a small form factor, the LL01 is really suited to a large array of uses. First over here is shipping and logistics. As you can see with the icon there of the cargo container, a huge metal box is a great place for our LL01 to be installed. Simple installation, long battery life, sleep and active modes allow this device to report at different rates and different frequencies depending on the application. So this device can go into essentially a sleep mode and maybe report one location a day while it is asleep, and then when it comes awake and starts moving, it can start reporting at a greater frequency. Also, with the magnetic cover there, as I showed you, if this cargo container arrives at its destination and the tracker is retrieved, it would essentially act as a receipt notice for the deliverer. Next over here, the LL01 is also suitable for some applications of fleet management and vehicle tracking. Again, IP65, it can be placed discreetly all around the car, even under the car if need be. The removal alerts will ensure you that the vehicle you're trying to track is still being tracked. We see a lot of these LL01s being traded around for family use. People driving, teenagers, things like this, have the phone in their backpack, in the vehicle, under the seat, something like that. It is a good peace of mind even for family applications. However, if the asset or the telematics application or usage is more involved or more serious, then the VLO2, the other device that we'll talk about in a moment, may be more suitable. Third is the heavy machinery equipment tracking. Again, know where your assets are at any point. A lot of times with this heavy machinery, these huge bulldozers and front-end loaders are sitting for long periods in a yard or somewhere where they're not being used. This battery provides no problem for those long-term applications where maybe it's only important to start seeing that location when the asset is moved after a long period of being sent. Also, with the heavy machinery equipment tracking, knowing where your heavy assets are and knowing which asset to deploy to which job site can be a very valuable information. For example, a lot of these larger machines will sit around dormant for a while and they're spread over disparate locations, and then when they need to be used, of course, they have to be loaded onto a flatbed or something and transported to the job site, which comes with its own cost. knowing where your assets are and which asset to move to which job site can be very, very helpful for companies managing this sort of equipment. Finally, there are some applications for the LLO1 with the UBI, user-based insurance, and car rental companies. Again, discreetly placed. Of course, they will know where their assets are if there's lost or stolen. Especially based with usage-based insurance about how far you drive a rental car, for example. Having simple GPS mileage tracking with the platform is a very useful tool there. Also, with some car rental agreements, we have things like geofencing that may be needed to be employed. Okay, let's move on to the VLO2. So this VLO2 is really our feature-rich, full-service fleet management solution. Again, this is a device that has been very successful and very popular with our partners around the world for many years. Again, updated and optimized specifically for North America. As opposed to having a large battery, this device is hardwired under the dashboard. Of course, it does have a small battery in case the vehicle battery isn't available, but it mostly relies on the vehicle's power supply. This device also supports a DBM, so DBS should be DBM driver behavior monitoring system, which helps create algorithms that allow you to monitor and thereby improve the driving performance of your fleet drivers. This device also has the ability to do remote fuel or power cutoff, meaning if there's some issue with the vehicle, you can send this command from the platform or via SMS, and when the vehicle reaches a safe, slow speed, the vehicle will power down. As you see on the picture on the right there, on the right side, this device has various inputs and outputs for various sensors and peripherals that hook into a car's telematics system. For example, there is a 5-volt digital output, there's a UART TTL connection, various sensors, again, for one-wire temperature sensor would be an optional arrangement on this as well. Let me take 1 minute. I'll step right back in front here and I will show you the VLO2. This is the VLO2, again, hardwired. You see the power and various peripheral data connections. You can see this device is much thinner and much lighter due to the no magnetic cover and smaller battery than this. All right, moving on here. Let's look at uses for the VLO2. Again, the VLO2 is the fleet management solution primarily. No external batteries, so this is not a suitable asset tracker anywhere where there is not a power supply from the vehicle, of course. Again, on the left here, main usage. Fleet vehicle tracking. Get the location, of course. These are the traditional GPS tracker functionalities. Historical route tracing. Again, remote fuel and power cutoff, and that DBM system to help you improve the driver behaviors. Same with the LLO1. The heavy equipment and machinery tracking helps people avoid loss of assets, employ their assets more efficiently around their work areas. That 5V digital out again, TTL, one-wire capability, very convenient on that. The other key with the VLO2 with heavy machinery is that it has a 9 to 36 volt operating voltage, which means that it can work on all sorts of equipment, not just vehicles. Finally, again, on the right side there with UBI and car rental. The same basic strengths as we've discussed before. DBM, avoid lost vehicles, geofencing, and more I want to point out the benefit of that in-cab SOS button. More and more around the country and around the world, we see rental car companies providing this sort of SOS button, if it isn't in the car already, to give renters who may be in some faraway land in a strange car, a strange city, that added peace of mind that comes with having that SOS button. Usually it's discreetly placed right by the power window buttons next to the driver's left side. These SOS buttons can be set up to contact the authorities directly or to contact an intermediary dispatch or any number you'd like to add in there. So that's where I'll stop today. Thank you very much for listening and joining. Things are always a little different. I apologize for any video or audio qualities you might have had. Again, I appreciate you joining in here. So if you are a fleet operator or a system integrator working in the IoT sector, feel free to contact me or anyone at the Jimmy Concox team in China to learn more about the LLO1 and the VLO2 and how these devices can add value to your organization. Again, thank you very much. My name is Derek Mell, and I will talk to you next time, hopefully in person.